Had to get my glasses, folks. Had to get my glasses. Let's try and kickstart this thing over again. Welcome to Crypto Clown World. It is February 24th, 2023. My name is Jason Bruce. I am your host with the honks. And it is Friday night. And welcome to my channel. First and foremost, let's make it clear we're here to get it honking. So I'm gonna honk on in to Bitcoin. And as we jump on into this price action here, we are on the 8-week chart, and this shows that we have a very dominant bullish engulfing candle coming in, and we are coming up to some key resistances. We are trying to negotiate the 7 EMA on this larger time frame and flip that to support at around 23,994. So just above that, we do have the middle Bollinger Band at 30,000.6. Those will be key levels moving forward. On this larger time frame, we do have extremely oversold stochastics, and the RSI just flipping into that 50 territory. So this looks very good on the 8-week time frame, which will be closing here shortly at the end of the month, which will be Tuesday, the 28th of February. So this is the type of candle here, folks, that tells me we are no longer in a bear market. You don't get this type of a candle in a bear market. Alright, this is a very, very large green candle. You can see when we start getting those types of candles, we're going to start seeing extended rally afterwards. Okay, very similar looking candle. We got a much larger candle here. This is back in the 2019 rally. Honestly, this is something that I would not be surprised if we saw come in again. So, you know, if we were to take a measured move, on a candle like that, if it were to come in at the current resistance, that would take us way up to here to like 52,000, which I actually do think is realistic when we look at these Bollinger Bands on this 8-week time frame. They're actually up here around the all-time highs. So I do expect, actually, there is a good chance that we retest that within the next 12 months here. Okay? Still waiting for people to jump into the chat here. I know it's a little late, folks, but it is Friday night. Maybe we can have a little fun here and get a little stream action going. So let's zoom in on what Bitcoin's doing right now. And it started to form this falling wedge here on the 4-hour time frame after dumping down a little bit. I wasn't really expecting this extreme dumpage. Thought we could get some consolidation out of this pattern and break out here, but that did not happen. Can't win them all, folks. I wasn't in any serious trades or you know, high leverage positions from this level that I lost from. All my longs were taken down here, so this isn't a huge deal to me, because right now, in my opinion, this is retest of previous support. The VRVP is actually showing us that when we zoom out a little bit. So right around 23,000, there was this consolidation. We've come back down to that level again. There's been a few wicks down. Sellers look to have become exhausted on this last 4-hour candle. And it looks like the bulls are trying to take some advantage. If we zoom in here, this 1-hour time frame is likely to bounce. This actually looks like a good spot to buy some crypto if you're into that sort of thing. Flip over to Ethereum, and there's some similar price action. So we did get this breakdown on ETH. Actually exceeded the price target a little bit. So right now we're sitting just above that level of where the target was at. We did wick below that to this downtrend line. Okay, which you can see the wick here on this previous low. So we did make a new local low on this shorter term 12-minute time frame for Ethereum. But if we swing out on this 4-hour, it's really not all that bad. Just a little bit of a wick out of this structure that we've been forming with this sort of a not quite parallel descending channel. So right now Ethereum is trying to find support similar to how Bitcoin was. And if we look at how our RSI is playing out, it's not all bad because we are showing that we do have, you know, higher low here, right? And then what we've formed is a pretty nice hidden bullish divergence here. Okay. So this hidden bullish divergence could carry some weight, but we have to hold this line of support and come back up and flip this level on the VRVP, which is around 1635. If we can manage to do that, fib is invalidated, I'll remove that. If we can manage to do that, then I do expect to test the top of this triangle here. And we do have 3 touch points on the bottom, maybe a triple bottom, but it would be kind of an ugly one. I'm not sure this pattern is mature yet, especially with these falling stochastics, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Alright, so that is Ethereum. Moving over to Matic, did get a deeper correction on this one than I was looking for. After trying to break out of this ascending parallel channel, price action actually fell all the way down below it. So you can see how the price action respected this channel all the way up on that huge move. And now it's sitting down here. Price did retrace all the way down to this 706 Fibonacci with just below it. What can I say? That's some pretty volatile action for Matic. If we get back into this parallel channel, decent chance to move back up here. So Garrett Soloway did call this short perfectly. Hats off to him. Good job if you were in short here and managed to take some profit on Matic. I've been in long since these levels down here, and will continue to hold that position as I look for a larger swing, which I do believe the entire market will be seeing. It's just a matter of where the market finds support on the daily. So I'd like to see this pivot here price dips below where this previous daily candle closed at 124.35, then we may see some further downside to retest this bottom Bollinger Band in this 99 EMA, which is around 106 to 112 area. For Matic, I would like to see price try to build on this 4-hour closure here, similar to what I was highlighting for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Again, several candles that closed below this lower Bollinger Band, and this flattening price action with these wicks down to this point of control. This looks like a pivot area with these oversold RSI and oversold stochastics RSI. This may be a good area to enter in a long trade for Matic out of this falling broadening wedge, as I believe we will come back up to test the top of that. So apparently nobody wants to spend their Friday night with me, folks. I understand. You have better things to do. Hopefully you'll get a chance to watch the stream when you have a minute. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell for notifications. Please support this new and growing channel. With that in mind, just want to go over the top 10 coins real quick. As always, Bitcoin and Ethereum at the 1 and 2 spots. They are slightly down on the day, 3.5% and 2.9% respectively. So Ethereum actually holding versus Bitcoin. Something to take a look at. I'll bounce back to that in a moment and we'll try and break that down. And right now, BNB coming in the third spot. We won't count these stable coins, okay? BNB down 2.8% on the day, so hanging in there with Ethereum. And XRP still holding strong at the fourth spot. That market cap just above 19.2 billion. Okay. Just below that we have Cardano. Those coins taking a little bit more of a hit than Ethereum and BNB did. We got this OKB coin as well. It's one that I don't really cover. I don't see a lot of popularity with that coin, not a lot of talk about it. We do have Matic coming in at this 9th spot here. Down 6.6% on the day, 17.5% on the week. So that was a nice unleveraged short by Gareth Soloway. Dogecoin coming in number 8 here, down 3.6%, basically following Bitcoin. Skippy USD, and we come to Solana right there, hanging out with Dogecoin and Bitcoin, and this Lido staked Ether is down 2.8%, which basically is just following the Ethereum price action. So with that in mind, that is the top 10 coins right now. A lot of red. If you were in Tether, good job. Probably be looking to buy right now. Let's swing over to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. We are now neutral after being in greed last week and a neutral close yesterday. So kind of odd, even with that further dip, not really much of a change. Still showing neutral here. And we haven't really swung into these deep areas of greed in quite a long time. If you'll take a look here, we really haven't been there since the end of 2021. Okay, when we did actually see a bearish divergence in the Fear and Greed Index. So I do want to highlight that we did have a bullish divergence here in the Fear and Greed Index, where we saw a dip down to around 17,000 in this area. And this area highlights the dip around the FTX fiasco and the sell-off towards the end of the year. So this is a bullish divergence on the Fear and Greed Index. This was a bearish divergence on the Fear and Greed Index. So this index does actually show us divergences. That is something to heed. That is something to keep in mind with this price action here right at this midpoint. Do we come back up to these higher levels of potential greed before coming back down? Hey, XCH Guide in the chat. How you doing, sir? Thanks for joining us. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at on the Fear and Greed Index. Those divergences I don't really see people highlight, but I will say it's kind of interesting. If you take a look here, there is this line, all right? If you were to connect these points, you're pretty much coming right down here. So this is at resistance right now on this Fear and Greed Index as well. So we can look at this in two ways. Either we're going to get rejected here and come all the way back down, test these other levels, then come back up, or we continue to consolidate and then break out back to those higher levels of greed. So we'll have to see how it plays out on the Fear and Greed Index over the next few weeks with all the doom and gloom, bearishness, and sky is falling mentality that we hear from all the ding dongs and bing bongs out there in the crypto space. So I am not bearish right now. If we see a significant break of support of these levels around this 22.8 to 23k level, I may flip my tune and go into a risk management mode and look to buy back at lower levels, but we are not at that point yet, folks. We are not at that point. I do want to take a look here at Filecoin. This is actually looking really juicy right now. I might take a trade on this. Oh man, this is super tempting. Where are we at on the smaller time frames? This 15-minute is getting ready to come back up. Yeah, I feel like dropping a few stacks on some Filecoin right now. Did miss the entry on this here. It did come back down a little bit further, but I'm going to zoom back out, and it's just so weird to see these patterns because there is this falling wedge, right? And I highlighted this initially. Fake out of the breakout, broke back in, fake out of the breakout again, consolidation, break back into the pattern, found support at the lower line, and we are consolidating right now with these oversold stochastics RSI. So what I'm seeing right now for Filecoin is pretty promising because there is a good chance we find support at this 99 EMA. And with the break well below this lower Bollinger Band, there is a good chance that we find support at this level. So with this being the 0.5 fib, it could be an aggressive place for Filecoin to stay bullish. There has been some very bullish news that came out recently for Filecoin, as they will be essentially creating their own virtual machine to become a layer 1 solution. So they are going to jump into the fray with that, and I think it will make them more valuable going forward. It is a little bit concerning, however. We do have this point of control down here at $5.50 in between the 706 and 786 Fibonacci, which is a pretty common retracement level for altcoins, as well as this 200 daily moving average just below that around $5.20. So do I nibble here and see if the price comes back up above this wedge and then go in more? Or do I just drop the whole dang stack in and just say YOLO, right? So let's adjust our measurements here. Even though we're moving those targets down, it's still going to represent pretty decent gains here. It's about a 20-to-1 risk-reward ratio and a potential 100% gainer for Filecoin, so you could potentially double your money from here. Flip half that bag and ride it to the top. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on Filecoin. Super tempting to jump into a trade on this right now. What is this 7-minute doing? That kind of looks like an inverted. Where's the neck at? There we go. Come on. So even just on this short time frame, we're looking for scalpage. Get a quick one here from this current level around 683 up to around 722. So Filecoin does look like it's potentially going to move bullish here. And we do have this higher volume node up here around 7.79 as well. I think Filecoin has a good chance to bounce here. Zoom out a little bit. This music isn't a copyright violation. Let's change it up a little bit here. All right. So I think some of these larger targets for Filecoin are quite possible here, but Bitcoin has to play ball and hold support, or that's going to get invalidated. So if we start to come back up on the 4-hour and we don't go anywhere, then likely these alts are going to retrace further. Okay. So let's flip over to Chia for XCH guide. So after we broke down to this pattern here, looks like maybe we're forming a little bit of a falling broadening wedge. So those do have some bullish bias. So we can look at it like that. Or potentially like that, where it's a bit of maybe a descending parallel channel that's starting to form there. I think it's a little more bullish to look at it as this falling broadening pattern. Okay, so price is currently below the 7 EMA on this 2-hour time frame. Just want to flip above that. There is this point of control here up above the 99 EMA. It's right around $42.50. And this doesn't really look horrible. It's not a horrible dump. You just had this wick just barely below this previous wick. It's totally can be considered a double bottom here. Not really flashing any significant divergences here, I don't think. Yeah, nothing significant there in the way of divergence. But with that in mind, you know, zooming out here, we had this larger descending parallel channel. So if this continues to consolidate at this level, then you have a chance to sort of break out of this. And what you might end up seeing I'm just sort of exaggerating this just a little bit. But you could have a bit of an inverted head and shoulders there, and that would represent a pretty nice breakout pattern there. Take you up to like $52, which would challenge the previous high of this pattern. So that is a possible move that we could see for XCH in like short to mid-term, say within the next 4 weeks. Excuse me, next 2 weeks. So let's just keep an eye out for that. See if this plays out. No guarantees, as we've seen over the last 24 to 48 hours. Things can get a little bit hectic. We have had some volatility. So I'm going to swing out to the total market cap here. Should pretty much look like Bitcoin. So we do have this pattern here. And really this can just be construed as a double bottom. There's nothing that's necessarily bearish about that. This can be looked at as a megaphone pattern. We easily can come all the way up to test this level at 1.11 trillion. At the same time, we could still come down and retest. I believe this is a 200 weekly here. Yep, 200 weekly moving average. So we did break out of the 200 weekly moving average on the total market cap, unlike Bitcoin. Okay, so with that, we may still need to see a retest of it. Technically haven't retested this point of control, which is right at 1 trillion. That 200 weekly is sitting at 98.3 billion, which is a level that we battled quite a bit here. This doesn't give us anything definitive, but it certainly doesn't give us anything significantly bearish. This just doesn't look to me like something that's going to break down over the weekend, there's just a really decent chance that we hold support here. As you can see, this previous trend line is forming this falling wedge now on the RSI. So we can look at it as a falling wedge in the pattern. Sort of from this angle. Okay, so we're in this falling wedge here, which is inside this megaphone pattern. So patterns and patterns, just look for your patterns. Yeah, this is where we're at here for the total market cap. This is not all bad. Just have to hold support off this wick. If this breaks down of this level, we're going to come back down and test this 200 weekly, and the 200 daily is below that at around $910 billion. The CMA 99 here could definitely represent support. All right. We did test this lower Bollinger Band on this 8-hour time frame. So I'd really like to see the move back up here. I would really like to see some market participants get paralyzed with fear. Maybe we just see the volume die out over the weekend, and we'll pick back up on Monday and Tuesday and realize that, hey, you know, we retested this point of control and the volume is actually back to the upside. Okay. And right now we're just in consolidation on the 1 hour. So we'll swing out to the altcoins. Can I go over patterns and show some examples? Would be good to see and learn. Okay, we'll do that in just a second after I go over this total 3 here. And we'll use this to incorporate part of the lesson. All right? Because this does give us an opportunity. So there are several patterns that we can kind of draw here. Keep in mind, patterns can be open to interpretation. Support and resistance a lot of the time is what plays into forming a good pattern. And ultimately, support and resistance is what's going to determine price action. So it does help to form these patterns. Sometimes it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy as well. So just be open-minded when you're looking at trying to create these scenarios, okay? Nothing is written in stone and nothing has to play out. All right? So this really is just kind of a falling parallel channel, and I'll highlight that here with this parallel channel tool. Okay, we can draw that and bring that out here, and basically it shows that, you know, the price is more or less respecting this parallel area, right? So within this area, depending on how you want to draw this, you can start to create a little bit of a falling broadening idea. All right. Or we can evolve this into a more parallel channel right here by not counting this wick. Or you can swing all the way over here and catch those wicks. And what this is showing us, which may be a more complete pattern here, this is a descending triangle. Okay, this would not bode well for altcoins. Typically these do have a bit of a bearish bias. So we'll take a look here. And when you look at these descending triangles, you can see here that typically they do highlight them as a bearish scenario, but it's not always a bearish scenario. And I'm gonna take you back and highlight here where it wasn't. Okay, recently with Bitcoin. All right, we have one right here where you can see this descending action and it broke down. So that one actually broke down, but if we come back here, I believe it was this one that we were in for quite a while here that actually broke to the upside. I think it was this one. It may have been a smaller pattern. Okay. But what we're seeing here right now when we look at Bitcoin on this 4 hour, this is a falling wedge. So this falling wedge typically has a bullish bias, whereas this descending triangle has this flat bottom, right? And this descending price action. So that's more what we see on this total 3, which represents the market cap for the altcoins. And if we were to see this break down, it would be a significant breakdown for the altcoin market. And it would take us pretty close to a retest of this 200 weekly moving average. And dump the altcoins further about 10% more. I would prefer to see this play out as a double bottom. Okay? If this plays out as a double bottom, it's basically just the opposite with the measured move here. It's just going to extrapolate out like so. Okay? So we get a significant bump in the altcoins, about 20% up. All right, so those are some patterns that you can look at, which may look slightly similar but are very different. So it's the descending triangle, you've got the flat bottom and the descending price action, or the falling wedge, all right, which typically has that very bullish bias, where you'll see either a pump back up to around the 0.618 to 0.786 fib levels, or you'll sometimes see retest the top of the pattern. With this one, it could even bust us out further. If we take this entire flagpole, take the measurement on Bitcoin, break out somewhere around there, that could move all the way up to 27,000. And that would make more sense for me from what I've been seeing here, because this seems to me to be bullish consolidation, even as we are in this falling wedge here. I don't see any reason at all why Bitcoin can't continue to rally. There are people that are looking at some things, potential similarities to 2015. where we might see some further double bottom downside action, you know, maybe 16K or whatever. I feel like the likelihood of that is low right now, and I'll demonstrate a few reasons why. And I did swing out on the macro here at the beginning of the show, and I demonstrated why it's very likely that we start to see significant downside after seeing this large bullish engulfing candle on this 8-week chart. This is essentially a 2-month chart, okay? And this 8-week chart is going to close on Tuesday, all right? So when we print these large candles, typically you're going to see some more continuation to the upside. You know, could we maybe see a candle like this where there's, you know, wick down and back up in consolidation over the next couple months? Sure, absolutely. You know, maybe we come back and retest that area around 19.4. Totally possible. Can't rule it out. It's Bitcoin and crypto. But with where we're at here with these extremely oversold stochastics and the RSI trying to negotiate this 50 level, this 8-week time frame shows me that we're ready to make much larger moves. Okay, so I'll swing out to the ES1 futures, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We'll zoom into the 3-day. And this 3-day is going to highlight a very important scenario here. It's this purple line. The purple line goes all the way from this downtrend. It's created from this previous high here. Okay. And it takes us all the way through the present time here, where we did wick down to it at the end of the session today. So testing support at the middle Bollinger Band. We're also testing various other areas of confluence of support here. Got this 200 SMA, which we bounced directly off of. So when we zoom in a little bit, use this 22-hour here. You can see that we did bounce off of this 200 daily and then back above this purple line. And this is where the good stuff is going to happen, folks, because this has to hold. If it doesn't, then we're going to see a significant massacre in the S&P. And with this bearish engulfing candle on the 10-day and the loss of the RSI at the 50 level, I can't necessarily rule it out. Okay? So price action is largely going to be determined by the monthly close on the 28th of February. I don't know why my music has to do this to me. So, oh my goodness. All right, killing the music. It's gone. So really, this is breakout and retest of a much larger pattern. This inverse head and shoulders that's been forming for quite a while in bullish consolidation of this much larger falling broadening wedge. So again, falling broadening wedge is actually a bullishly biased pattern. These patterns can occur on the micro or the macro. You can play these same patterns on a 1 minute time frame or a 1 week time frame. It really doesn't matter. They all play out the same way. So you can see here, falling broadening wedge. If I can type. This is an ascending broadening wedge. Typically these actually have a bearish bias. Unless you get this confirmation of support here at the top, then that can break out quite violently to the upside. But you can see here, this is the typical falling broadening wedge. It's pretty much textbook what we're seeing right here, right? So you'll typically see 3 touches at the top. A lot of the time 3 touches at the bottom, and then the spring. So 3 touches at the top, 3 touches at the bottom, and then the spring. Okay, and this actually respected a larger channel. If we move out here, okay, and this is a huge reason why I think that it's unlikely the market breaks down in a manner where we see a huge break of this pattern. Okay, now we can look at this as a possibility on the chart where if this line breaks, all hell is going to break loose. Okay, so this line right now, you can clearly see represents support and resistance. It represents this falling broadening wedge, and it represents this breakout and retest right now that we are seeing. Okay, I'm going to highlight this and just zoom in on the RSI here, and you can see where it's breakout and retest. Okay, you can see where it's falling broadening wedge. Okay, so RSI can help you with patterns. Sometimes you'll see a different pattern reflected in the RSI than you do in the price action. Sometimes there's different reasons to heed one or the other. So you have to be able to use other oscillators, indicators, and support and resistance to be able to determine that. All right. So just keep in mind, nothing is written in stone. These patterns don't always have to play out by the book. It really does help to not have confirmation bias and to try to see how the scenario can play out in both directions. So I hope that helped a little bit. We went over descending triangle. We went over falling broadening wedge. We went over just standard falling wedge. And then like the opposite of this would be the ascending triangle. So that's what I actually got caught up in over the last couple days, because I did look at what we were seeing for Bitcoin as a potential ascending triangle. Okay, and you can see flat top here and ascending price action here, and those typically have a pretty bullish bias. Okay, so when I saw this pattern, I definitely was looking for continuation. Even when we saw the price move out of this area or down from this area, when we came back into the pattern, I was like, okay, you know, there's a chance for continuation. but we were denied at this point of control, which was at 24.6. So we just have to use all this stuff in confluence, because 1, 2, or even 3 data points isn't always necessarily enough to make a conclusion. We want to have multiple areas and levels of confluence to work in together with our support and resistance. So right now, Bitcoin is not playing nice. And I'm glad that I did not make a little buy earlier. Excuse me. So we are seeing this breakdown here on the 7-minute. Banging against this point of control and got rejected. And Bitcoin's just fighting right now. Anything below that wick there, around like 23,026. This is going to dip further, and we may have to look at this measured move potentially playing out. So this kind of looks like bearish retest right now of this triangle pattern. But we could also extend this out here. And we're going to see if that holds. Okay. So we'll zoom in a little more on this 3 minutes, see what this thing's got for us. And keep in mind, this is a symmetrical triangle. Symmetrical triangles are 50-50. Typically, they represent continuation. So usually when there is a trend, which in this case, this is coming off a move from the downside, typically, the bias would be to the downside again. Which is around 21.8, 21.9. But 3 minutes trying to save us here. Just have to hold this pattern and break out of the point of control around 23.113. So decision time for Bitcoin. Let's see if we dump or stay in this little pattern and continue to consolidate for the next several minutes. Actually looks like bullish divergence here. If you see a swing down on the RSI, swing down on the price action, this swing is higher than this swing, okay? Where this higher swing corresponds to a lower point on the RSI, and this lower swing in the price action corresponds to a higher point on the RSI. I would typically think that I would see this price action hold, and we'll actually get a move to the upside here out of this triangle to around 23.6. So you can see here, this little 3 minute candle here closed with a bullish bias. So it pretty much shows that the sellers were exhausted after trying to push down here on this bullish engulfing green candle. And Bitcoin's going to make me look like a liar. So let's see if this continues to break down here. This 3 minute wants to break the structure of this bullish divergence. And it could just be that they're faking the pattern out just a little bit. But we'll see here. I just want to watch this price action for a minute. This is going to be pretty important. And people will say, oh, it's a 3-minute time frame. How important could it be? But we're actually coming up on a 6-hour close here. So these next several 3-minute candles are going to determine the momentum going into the 6-hour close. And it will actually make quite a bit of difference. So let's just make just a slight adjustment here on these wicks. I think that's totally fair to do. You can continue to adjust this stuff as the price action plays out. You're not always going to draw these patterns perfectly. And there will be other patterns that will materialize after you draw a pattern. You know, you may think you totally nailed it, and it may show you something a little different. So just be willing to be open-minded and admit that you may not necessarily have drawn it correctly the first time. And you can continue to learn from there what the various patterns do. So, you know, really there's only so many chart patterns when it comes down to it. You know, there's a few different triangles, a few different types of wedges, and you know, you've got your cup and handle, your inverse head and shoulders, your double and triple bottom. And I did post all this stuff, or some of this stuff, in the learning and analysis area. I think Ryan posted up some as well. So there should be some helpful stuff in the Discord. When you get a chance to check that out, it should help. And you know, all this stuff is easily searchable as well. If you're not sure what you're looking at, always feel free to ask. We'll try and clarify it. You can always try to ask ChatGPT too. I'm not sure it can really tell you. So just watching this pattern here. And you can see the 3-minute playing out. Okay. So looks to be a bounce there. And we'll see if we get above this triangle and above this point of control. Alright. This is the pattern right now. So once again, these symmetricals are typically 50-50. They do have the bias of whatever the trend is. You can look at it as the trend was, okay, you know, we just had this down move. But when you swing out a little bit further, the trend actually was to the upside, because we've been having these significant moves to the upside, right? We had this boom to the upside here. We had another swing to the upside here as we continue to sort of create this megaphone pattern. So it's quite possible that this is a consolidation level where we'll start to see confirmation of this level as support around 25K. Okay, so if we swing up here and, you know, make a new high around 25.5 or 26, or, you know, even 27, which I think 27.5, yeah, was a bit of a target here. So if we swing up to that, you know, it's not totally impossible, because if we look at this, you know, continuation there, that's in perfect alignment, right? This is in perfect alignment. When we connect these two dots here, or these two wicks, excuse me, you know, extend this line all the way out. These spider lines can play out at later times, even though we're only connecting a couple wicks back here. So let's keep an eye on this. You know, if we break out of this flat level of resistance from what looked to have been that ascending triangle before, if this is flipped to support and we see consolidation in this range, then we could all of a sudden, you know, come down for a final retest of this area in either a double or triple bottom, and then boom, make like a, you know, quick parabolic move from like 25 all the way up to this 27.5 area. So just something to keep in mind. This would play out kind of in this manner here, sort of like this ascending broadening wedge where, excuse me, sorry, we would test this flat level of resistance here. So just something to look for. These patterns are not static. They don't always play out perfectly. You can see here, sometimes these are, you know, in reverse. So falling wedge and falling broadening wedge are kind of two different things, but also kind of the same, because it's really just the same thing flipped and it has the same bias. Patterns are fun to mess around with. You know, it's really just creating a connection of touch points. So smaller time frame, 7-minute Bitcoin still staying in this pennant. This is what we need to watch. I think I'm going to leave off on this note here. It should leave us at about an hour. I think that was some good educational stuff, and I think we did touch on the potential flip of the market. Matic's trying to flip awful bearish right here, right now. Let's see what Matic is trying to do, other than wreck me, because I'm holding a ton of it. That bounce here. So what I'm looking for is that bounce here, and that would be a bullish divergence. It looks totally possible that would be a bullish divergence and a double bottom on this 15-minute time frame. So that's what I'm looking for on Matic right now. Yeah. The hope would be that plays out. It's pretty much a descending parallel channel. Nothing too special about this formation, other than to me it really kind of looks like a triple bottom or even a bit of an inverse head and shoulders. That would take Matic back up to like $1.30. So that's what I'd like to see right now for Matic. Potentially playing out right now. Bitcoin just has to play nice. Bitcoin has to play nice. Hold this pennant and break out to the upside. If we don't, this is probably where we're going. South of 22K. It's not where I want to go. I don't know about you. I don't know how you're positioned. If you're positioned hard short, then maybe that's what you're looking for. I, for one, am not. Don't plan on being anytime soon. I do believe, based on what I'm seeing here again, with the larger markets, that this is a breakout and retest of a much larger pattern. If it's not, and this breaks, and then this breaks, and this breaks, this 200 week for the S&P, that'll blow it all up. That'll blow it all up, because then you're talking about coming down here. And nobody, almost nobody anyway, is prepared for that scenario. If that were to happen, that would be absolute catastrophe. So, that's not what I want to see. But again, this index here, okay, to zoom out more, I apologize. This is what I'm looking at. 8-week chunks, alright? 2-month candles. This is what I'm looking at. You don't really get false signals from these candles, okay? You see one of these big candles come in and it pretty much signals a reversal, alright? Add some consolidation here, some red candles, big green candle, another big green candle. This was a nice relief rally. Some red came in, you know, longer wick to the upside. Can't really look at that as a bullish candle. See, this large red wick came in, down to the point of control, and boom, we saw some large green candles come in. So I just want to see more green candles come in. 28th of February, folks, that's going to be a big one. So I will try and do an episode around that monthly close, because I do expect some volatility. It's going to be extremely volatile over the weekend, going into the week, and that monthly close. So keep in mind, with the weekly close and that monthly close coming up, should see some interesting stuff. So I'm going to sign off. This is Crypto Clown World. My name is Jason Bruce, and I love you all. God bless you all, and make sure you have a fantastic honking weekend. Take care, everybody.